Hey guys, today we're going over the top 5 best bleed balls in Elden Ring. Keep in mind, I'm not ranking these weapons in any order. Also, comment down below on some weapons you think should be added on this list. With that out of the way, let's get into it. For our first weapon on the list, we have the Godskin Peeler. This weapon is insanely powerful if you use it correctly. I recommend trying to get 2 of these. You can either get it from someone dropping it for you, or you need to play 2 playthroughs to get it, which shows how strong this weapon truly is. When you use it by itself, it will do a decent amount of damage, because of how fast its attacks is. But with the dual wield, this weapon is just overpowered. The way you play it with the dual wield is by jumping and just pressing L1 or LB if you play on Xbox. By doing this, you do a special move that only curved swords do. That is why this weapon is so overpowered. For the stats, as always, we're level 150. Put your vigor at 30, 15 mind, 25 endurance, 17 strength, 35 dexterity, minimum for intelligence, and if you can, put faith at 25, so you can cast golden vow. Then put as much as you can on arcane. Now for the build. If you have one Godskin Peeler, I recommend waiting till you get another, because this build is going to be for the dual wield. For your Godskin Peelers, put seppuku on them. And for your seal, I'm using the Dragon Communion seal. If you don't have it, you can use whatever seal you want. Then for the armor, use the white mask. This boosts bleed. For your chest, use the raptor's feathers. This boosts your jump attack. Then for your hands and legs, use the Rakshasa. Our talismans are Claw Talisman, Lord of the Blood's Exaltation, Millicent's Prosthesis, and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. Keep in mind, I don't think you can get these two talismans in the same playthrough. Then for your buffs, use Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. For the flask, I'm using the Thorny Cracked Tear and the Green Burst Crystal Tear. This build is an easy way to beat Elden Ring and is definitely worth trying out if you're looking to have fun. Next we have the Scavenger's Curved Sword. This weapon is like the Godskin Peeler but just smaller, but it's the same thing, where you can't get it in your first playthrough. But don't worry, the other weapons on this list you can get in your first playthrough, so stick around. The Scavenger's Curved Sword has a built-in jump attack, which makes bleed proc basically every second. That is why it is one of the best bleed weapons right now. For your stats, 40 vigor, 15 mind, 22 endurance, 12 strength, 50 dexterity, then leave your intelligence at default. Try to get your faith to 25 to cast Golden Vow, and 50 arcane. For the build, you're going to dual wield the Scavenger's Curve Sword and add seppuku with the occult affinity. This makes the weapon really overpowered. Then for the seal, we're going to use the Dragon Communion seal. For the armor, we're going to use the white mask with the raptor's feathers. Then for your hands and legs, use the Rakshasa. For the talismans, use Lord of the Blood Exaltation, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, Claw Talisman, and Ritual Sword Talisman. For the buffs, use Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Then for your flask, use Green Burst Crystal Tear and Thorny Crack Tear. This spell melts every boss in Elden Ring, and it's super fun to watch bosses health drain. So if you want a build that's easy to use and very overpowered, this build is definitely one to try out. Next is mohgwyns Sacred Spear. Everyone knows how good this weapon is. The best way to use it is by using the built-in Ash of War, Blood Boon Ritual. This ability makes your surroundings red, and if your enemy is near you, they will take a big chunk of health and get into second phase by you just using the ability once. This weapon scales with strength and arcane, but because we're focusing on bleed, strength doesn't matter. For your stats, 40 vigor, 25 mind, 20 endurance, 24 strength, 15 dexterity, default intelligence, 25 faith, then put arcane as much as you can. The build, our weapon is going to be default, and you can use any seal you like. I just like using the Dragon Communion seal. For the armor, use the white mask with Mohg's robe, or you can just use the Rakshasa set for the rest. For the talismans, use Lord of the Blood Exaltation, Fire Scorpion Charm, Ritual Sword Talisman, and Alexander Shard. For the buffs, use Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. Then for the flask, I'm using Flame Shrouding Cracked Tear and Cerulean Hidden Tear. But if you don't have that one, use Green Burst Tear. The mohgwyn Spear is really overpowered and it's very simple to use. So if you want to kill bosses without doing much, this weapon is definitely for you. Next is Elonora's Pole Blade. The way you get this is by you doing Yura's quest. Then you meet Elonora and you get this blade after killing her. This blade is really fun to use. You could either choose to hit enemies normally or you can do the Ash of War blood dance, which gets bleed procs if you hit your enemy continuously. The blood dance is a quick spin attack that hits enemies hard. That's why this weapon is so good. For the stats you'll want 50 vigor, 20 mind, 24 endurance, 12 strength, 44 dexterity, minimum intelligence, 25 faith, and 49 arcane. With these stats you'll make the pole blade even more overpowered. For the build we have our weapon maxed out with any seal. I'm using the Dragon Communion seal. Then for the armor use the white mask with the Rakshasa set. Then for the talismans, use Millicent's Prosthesis, Lord of the Blood Exaltation, Alexander Shard, and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. For your spells use Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Then for the flask, use Thorny Cracked Tear and Green Burst. The Elonoras pole blade is a really unique and cool weapon to use, and its blood dance is super satisfying when you land all your hits. And this weapon is definitely one to check out. For our last weapon on this list, the Rivers of Blood. There's nothing to say much about this weapon other than how good and overpowered it is. Even after its nerfs, it's still one of the best weapons in the game, with its Ash of War Corpse Piler, which slashes blood continuously and procs bleed really quickly. The Rivers of Blood is a really OP katana that everyone has to try at least once. For your stats you want 40 vigor, 30 mind, 18 endurance, 12 strength, 48 dexterity, minimum intelligence, try and get faith to 25, and as much arcane as you can. For your build we have the Rivers of Blood, with any seal of your choice. And for your armor you're going to want to use the white mask with the Rakshasa set. This makes your build extremely overpowered. Then for your talismans, you want to use Fire Scorpion Charm, Lord of the Blood Exaltation, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, and the Turtle Head Talisman. For your buffs you want to use Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Then for your flask, you're going to want to use Thorny Cracked Tear and Green Burst. The Rivers of Blood is known as one of the best weapons in Elden Ring because of how fast its bleed procs and how good you can move with it. That's why this weapon is definitely one of the best weapons in the game. And that's the top 5 best bleed builds in Elden Ring. If this video was helpful, like and subscribe, it helps the channel out. And if you want to check out another build video, click on this video that's on the screen. See you there.